Coming to you live from the heart of Tyson's Corner, Virginia. It's Tuesday Morning Live with your hosts, Bryan McNamara and Bill Bolton.
Welcome back, everybody. Another exciting episode of Tuesday Morning Live. My name is Bill Bolton. I am one of your hosts. With me, as always, is Mr. Bryan McNamara. Bryan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, Bill. Thanks for asking.
Long weekend.
It was a long weekend.
Memorial Day.
That's right, Memorial Day. And when this episode airs, Memorial Day will have been last weekend.
That's true.
That's right.
We're time traveling right now.
That's right.
Into anything fun? Any cookouts?
Well, yeah, actually, I just went to some wineries, and I have to tell you, it's getting really hard to stay awake on the car ride back after being in the sun and drinking good wine.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Luckily, the cookout we went to was just up at the top of my street, so I didn't have much of a commute. It was easy getting back and forth. We smoked a ton of meat, drank some beers, hung around. It was nice.
That's awesome.
We did it on Sunday, so it wasn't blazing hot outside anyway. Monday was
that's
a little toasty.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. What's your best? Can you share with our listeners your craziest Memorial Day story?
I normally lay low, so I don't think I have any crazy stories. Smoking meat this weekend probably takes the cake. I mean, I could probably make something up on the spot right now if you want. But we were running guns from Nicaragua once. That was a fun Memorial Day. Now, I normally lay low. I usually don't do a whole lot during the long weekends. Try not to.
And Bill, you were in the service. Is that correct?
No, sir, I was not. But you were.
Oh, that's right. I was.
That's you. Yeah.
I thought you were in the Navy, man. Why did I think you were in the Navy for some reason?
No. I did. I strongly considered it for a long period of time, and then ended up not. Just went to college and
decided to go the smart route. Decided to learn something.
I guess so. I look back, at all my buddies that have, been in for 20 plus years at this point, and it's pretty sweet. I mean, all the benefits you get from serving.
That's right. They give you a pair of shoelaces and a watch.
Yeah. You get some nice pens. Oh, they got really cool benefits now. So, I mean, and I think it's extremely admirable to go into the service and protect this country. I've got nothing but respect for people that actually take the time to do that.
So do I, and especially those guys that can stay in 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's definitely a respected and a much needed cause in life that we take for granted every day. All the freedoms that we have. So thank you to all of our veterans out there.
Speaking of respected and needed, we have a very respected and needed guest today.
That's right. On today's show, we're going to be talking about getting the most value out of your commercial real estate, and we've got a special guest. Our guest today is going to be Tim Reichert. Tim has lived in Northern Virginia for 20 plus years and has served as the CEO of LifeCycle Sherlock, volunteers as a board member of several faith-based organizations, and as an active member of the Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce, High Tech, GovCon, and Energy Policy Committees. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Tim Reichert.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, Tim.
Doing great.
I appreciate your Navy comments earlier. I got two sons in the Navy, so I was listening carefully to what you guys were saying, since they just started their 8-year commitment to be nuclear engineers. So we're Navy
that's
fans
awesome.
now.
That's really killer.
Yep, pretty good stuff.
Bryan, thanks for thinking of me. It's letting me pretend that I was in the service for a few seconds here.
Hey, that's all I did for the first 2 years I was in, is just play pretend. They just told me where to point the gun, and I just followed.
There you
Nothing wrong
go.
with that.
So Tim, I'm fascinated by this, particularly what your take on this entire topic is going to be. Is you're not a real estate professional. You're not really a facilities manager. You're really, your role with LifeCycle Sherlock is a little bit different. So I want to learn a little bit more about LifeCycle Sherlock, and then explain to us what it means in your line of work, what it means to retain a commercial property value.
Sure. Actually, yeah, my background is somewhat diverse in the commercial real estate space. I actually did some commercial real estate development back in the day, in fact, before the 08-010 crisis that hit, which I think affected a lot of us in many ways. Myself personally, we had a rough go of it, but during that time, what helped us through it was that we were doing some of the things I'm going to talk about today. We were doing as a small owner operator of some buildings that allowed us to get more value out of our buildings, so we didn't have to turn them in to the bank, so to speak. So there's a lot of practical things here that I learned just through battle scars that we decided to form a company around back in the day. Back in 2010, I started. Back then, we called ourselves Energy Sherlock. We were doing mainly, helping commercial property owners and people who lease space go green in a profitable way. And we found that was a sorely needed expertise, particularly in the smaller building space, not the big guys who had all the experts around already. It was really the smaller players like myself that might have, let's say, under 10 properties, and they don't have the big CPA firms, they don't have all the other specialists around. So we started Energy Sherlock really to bring higher end technical and strategic ways of dealing with real estate down to the smaller players that weren't really aware of these types of techniques. So and lo and behold, we're still at it. We actually just rebranded our company to LifeCycle Sherlock recently because we've gone way beyond energy and just doing energy audits and LED lighting and those types of projects for clients. And we're into a whole host of other things which also bring value. So if you think of the name of our company, LifeCycle Sherlock, we pretty much are a lifecycle asset management team. So it doesn't matter if you just bought the building or the equipment, or you are just taking care of it, you're going to hold on to it for a while, or you're actually at end of life and you're trying to sell it or move on. LifeCycle Sherlock kind of looks at things from a detective perspective, where you are at this time, what's going to be helpful for you to improve your profits, improve the value of the building in case you want an exit strategy. So that's kind of what we do. The Sherlock name is very appropriate. We do all the detective work, we figure things out, and then we tell our clients, hey, this is what you need to be doing, and we can help you accomplish that, or you can use your own team to do it. But either way, you're going to know where to go and how to get there. So we've been doing that, gosh, well over 1,000 different properties and projects over the years. We've done every type of property you can imagine, from your restaurants and hospitality to your healthcare and data centers and everything else in between. So we have a pretty broad knowledge base going into this. But so if we can help people miss those common mistakes that most of us make, everybody wins.
Tim, where's the first place a person should start when they have a commercial building and they're looking to save money or to go green, if you will?
Sure. I kind of look at buildings, or encourage our clients to look at their property. And again, whether they own or they lease, most of these things will apply. I'll tell you where they don't. But we look at buildings from 3 or 4 different perspectives. We'll look at a building from an energy perspective, a cyber perspective, sustainability, and tax. Those are sort of like the big 4 that we try to help people with assessments. Generally speaking, they already own the building before we meet somebody, but if we have a chance to be a part of their acquisition team, we can actually help them get the buildings a lot of times for less, because we can help them understand the we'll do an analysis on the building as an example to say, hey, those air conditioners only have 2 more years of useful life. So you may want to lower the price that you're offering because you're going to have to add $50,000 worth of air conditioning in 2 years, right? And it's not going to cash flow outright. So sometimes when you go into a building and you don't have a manual for all the equipment that you're about to buy and inherit, it's good to know, up front what's really the health of that building, what's going to last and for how long. So even at the very beginning, we can help clients understand how to even buy the building. The next thing that we do is we get the building on the books the right way. Usually the first year, clients will buy a building, they'll go to their CPA, and the CPA says, oh, let's depreciate it, straight line depreciation of 27 years for a typical building. And they take the price of the building divided by 27, and that's your depreciation expense that you get to use to offset your revenues. So instead of doing it that simple accounting method, most accountants don't know buildings. They don't have construction or engineering backgrounds. So in those particular cases, we come alongside the CPAs involved and join the team and say, hey, let's do an engineering-based cost segregation study on that building. And that's a process of basically stripping out what's personal property versus what's real property. I won't get into the weeds, but if an accountant can get you, let's say, $50,000 of depreciation a year on a $2 million building, I might be able to get you $500,000. So what's helpful when you buy a new building, it's usually the first 3 or 4 years of owning it, it's always about cash flow. So if you're going to be investing in buildings, you're actually going to be looking for expenses to offset your profits. So would you rather have $500,000 worth of expenses or only $50,000 of expenses to offset your revenues? So these types of tax deferment strategies really help cash flow, which really takes a lot of risk out of getting into the commercial real estate space to begin with. So companies like ours can do those types of engineering studies, and we work hand in hand with the rest of the financial team of owners to get properties on the books the right way. And then on the back end, if they're looking to get out of a building, another common tax deferment strategy that some smaller players usually don't utilize is the 1031 exchange, which means that you can basically sell your building, take the what you would be taxed on and roll it into 1 or 2 other like kind buildings. So you don't have the capital gains hit after you sell your building. You can kind of kick that can down the road and start building more and more properties. So you flip 1 property and buy 2 with it, and you do 1031s on those 2, and now you have 4, and you just keep building your portfolio that way while you're deferring your capital gains tax for potentially decades.
Wow.
And it's a time value of money play. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow, especially with current inflation rates. So it's a good strategy. So cost segregation studies and 1031s are really, really important. Doesn't matter how big the building is. If you are a buy and hold kind of investor, those 2 strategies are really, really top of mind for what we would recommend. And in many cases, they don't cost you any money. We know companies such as ours that'll actually guarantee a 10-to-1 return on your money. So if you invest in a cost segregation study, and I deliver you $100,000, you keep 90, our company gets 10, and everybody's happy. So
that's great. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So that'd be the first thing I would look at, though, Brian. Kind of to your question. The second lens, we would look at it from an energy perspective. How well is the building performing? There's a lot of things to look at buildings. So a lot of times, again, looking at the value of a building. Are you guys familiar with cap rates? What cap rate means?
Yes.
Okay. And for anybody in the audience, the cap rate basically is really the investment return you want to make on the property you're investing in. So if you have an 8 cap rate, that means you want to make 8% on the money you invest in that building. So what most people don't realize is if you do those kind of if you are more energy efficient in how you run your building, every 50 cents per square foot that you lower the cost of running that building, which could be, your lighting, your HVAC, other common energy saving technologies, just lowering your cost of running that building 50 cents a square foot actually would add $6.25 per square foot in value. So
Wow.
if you're dealing with a 100,000 square foot building, pretty common, nothing, crazy, you can lower your operating cost by going energy efficient, and you can add $625,000 worth of value to that building.
Now, Tim, what do you say to people that can't, they're unable to maybe say they think that they can't afford to go ahead and make these changes in the building? Would you say, what do you think about the green lenders? Have you heard about green lenders?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point to bring up. The green lending market has grown exponentially the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years. Back in 2010, I don't think there was one single green lender that was out there. It was actually more about utility company incentives, which are still a big deal to help make these projects, financially viable. But the green lenders have really stepped in. There's also another group like Spark Fund. I'll put a plug in for Spark Fund. Know the guys over there pretty well, but they will actually do your project. We'll call it infrastructure as a service. They do it all on their dime. So most of the projects that you can think about nowadays, you don't even have to come out of pocket for. There's usually a lender that'll stand behind it. There'll be a group like Spark Fund that likes to do green infrastructure projects. There's certainly a lot of incentives with contractors that will do energy saving revenue sharing. So if they say, hey, this project's going to cost $20,000, tell you what, we know it's going to save $10,000 a year in energy. How about this? We'll do a 50-50 split on the energy savings we achieve. No money out of your pocket. You get $5,000, I get $5,000, for the next 4 or 5 years. They end up getting paid for doing the work, and they end up making a little bit more. It's almost like an interest payment, but they make a little bit more than they would have if you would have paid them the $20,000 up front. So
wow,
there's a lot of
That's
contractors.
a good idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of contractors that are in that space now. So finding money is really not the problem at this point. The climate change folks, the government regulations, there's so many ways that people are trying to throw money at this issue of global warming, things like that. Whether you buy into that or not, it's caused a lot of money to be flowing into infrastructure changes and improvements that people can capitalize on.
Right on. And yeah, you definitely see a whole lot more of that these days. Hey, Tim,
Sure.
I guess you'd agree that nobody's perfect, right?
True.
Well, all right. What are some of the common mistakes that these commercial real estate investors make?
Sure. Well, the common mistakes, first of all, I would say they go it alone. They don't know what they don't know, and they miss a lot of opportunities. I'll give you an example. There's carbon offsets that you can get on your building. There's a company, our company actually just launched a carbon offset recovery program where if they did a program, let's say 3 or 5 years ago, they improved their lighting and they're lowering their energy. Well, that can be converted into greenhouse gas reductions, which can be converted into carbon offsets, which can be sold on the open market. So there's money to be harvested from old programs or old projects that they did. So, my recommendation to everybody is don't go it alone. Just like you would hire a CPA to look at your books, or you look at a financial advisor to handle your investments, you need to work with a certified company that knows buildings well. They know all the current incentives. They know how to get projects done. That'd be my first common mistake to help people avoid. Also thinking that their CPA can handle everything is another common mistake. CPAs are really good at certain things, but buildings and how to run buildings and all that is not one of them. So, but I tell people, hiring a CPA makes you money. Even though you're paying them a fee, they're actually saving you more than what you're paying them. Financial advisor the same way. You're paying these professionals a fee, but since they're making you more money than you could have made for yourself, you're actually making money with them. This is a very similar. You would hire a company like ours because we don't cost anything. We're actually making you more money. Otherwise, we don't have a purpose. The other common thing I would say is they run their equipment to fail. They don't do maintenance to keep their buildings running well and their equipment lasting longer. So they end up running what we call run to fail, and everything's an emergency at that point. Hey, my air conditioner went out. You're paying somebody over the weekend time and a half or over a holiday, and you're getting cheap parts. You don't even get the right parts because it's an emergency, and that makes whatever is being fixed last a shorter period of time, and it doesn't run as efficiently, so it costs you more in the long run. So these are the kinds of things that we see people do all the time. They think they're saving money, but in the long run, it ends up costing a lot more. So don't go it alone. Get the experts involved. If they're any good, they're going to more than pay for themselves, and you'll have fewer risk to either your building or the tenants that are in your building. You'll have less people getting mad at you in the long run.
That's great. I mean, that's good advice. Let me ask you this. I see a lot of buildings in the Loudoun County area that are empty. Or what does that indicate? Does that indicate that there's a lot of opportunity for people that want to invest? Like if somebody, do you see there's a big change in the market? Are people going to change the types of buildings and their use cases? I know that since the pandemic, a lot of people have stopped working from offices and start working from home. What do you see as the trend now?
Yeah, no, that's like the $1 million question right there. I think look at shopping malls around the country. They're being repurposed into living communities and retail shops. It's happening all over the country because nobody goes to big malls anymore. So when you look at big office buildings, very similar situation going on. You have a hybrid working relationship now. You have let's say 2 days in the office, 3 days remote. In the government space, we're seeing this on a program that we're working on right now, where the government office was essentially empty, and now they're requiring people to go in on a hybrid work schedule, and people are starting to can we do 3 days at home or 2 days there, or vice versa? So they're managing all their buildings, saying, well, maybe we'll start subleasing out. I don't need all this space. Or there's more colo or co-working environments being created from this right now. So let's say you own that building, but you're only going to have your employees back in 2 days a week. Well, that's an asset sitting there, and you're not getting any value on it. You're just absorbing the cost of an empty building. Very similar to churches. Churches usually only run on the weekends, and during the week, they're trying to figure out, well, can we get somebody in to use our space? You start seeing schools going into churches to use the space during the week. So we're finding owners and operators looking for those natural complementing businesses. So if I know I'm a 9 to 5 kind of a company, I'm looking for maybe a company that does that works abroad, or they need people that work out of or connect with India. Some place that's 12 hours away, right, from a time zone, and they'll bring in people at night to fill those chairs and do a sublease just at night hours. So we're seeing some very interesting strategies, because quite honestly, the value of buildings is going down because fewer people need them, because we're all telecommuting now. And so everybody that I see right now, they're trying to repurpose. They are consolidating, let's say, 3 sites into 2, which brings up another thing that you can bring value, is how do you we'll call end of life. There's other ways that you can get rid of assets in a sustainable way, in a cyber secure way, where companies will come along and they'll do the decommissioning of that building, and they'll actually pay you for a lot of the stuff being taken out of buildings. Like our company, as an example, does that with old data centers. Somebody buying data centers is very expensive. So the market has shifted to buying 15 to 20-year-old data centers. And a company like ours will do the full decommissioning. We'll take it all the way down to the vanilla box, and then they'll build out a brand new data center, or they'll repurpose it into something else. So that's a very common move right now, is decommissioning or raising the whole building and starting from scratch. So that's what we're seeing.
Wow.
I've got one more question for you, and then let us know if there's anything that you want to plug. But what is your favorite color of vodka?
Not flavor, color.
Color.
I know. I don't think I've seen anything other than clear. So
That's the right answer. You got it.
Yeah. Glad I got that one right.
Oh, I think there's a coffee one out there that's brown, but
Is there really?
Yeah.
Is that like green eggs? You know, when I was a kid, my mom would make my brother green eggs because of the green eggs and ham from Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And it was the most disgusting thing. I couldn't even sit next to him while he ate. It's just something about it. If they're not yellow, I can't do it.
We did the green eggs. But yeah, Tim, I mean, real quick, if there's anything that you want to plug, any projects you have going on, any new events that are going to take place very soon, please let us know. Anything that you want to share with us right now.
Okay, well, the only thing that I would share right now is we did launch the new carbon offset program. So we're looking for companies that have already completed energy saving projects in the past. And we're going to help those clients find new money from an old project. It doesn't cost them anything. We would come alongside those folks and say, hey, here's a new carbon-based incentive that you can get credit for. And that's kind of the big thing we're looking for right now, is coming alongside people who have already gone green, so to speak, or want to do more of it. We have a way of getting new carbon incentives to them so they can do another project. So that would be the big plug, I would say, right now.
Good deal.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being on the show. A lot of great information. And for you viewers out there, if you're interested in decommissioning or you want to hear some more information on this, please feel free to reach out to Tim. His contact information is going to be located in the comments section. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Where are we going, Brian? I'm getting hungry.
We're going to the Olive Garden, Bill. Let's go.